What are you saying, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about the things that I do when I'm having a bad mental health day or a rough patch in general mentally, however long it lasts, because let's be honest, we all have them. It's no secret. These are the things that I tend to do to try to regain that control over myself mentally and just get myself into a mentally healthier place. So here we go. Let's roll the intro. Right? Subscribe! I love you guys. So just to give a little bit of context for any of you guys that aren't familiar with my mental health journey, if you're new on my channel or whatever, I have mainly suffered with anxiety for a very long time, since I was really young, and also I have experienced depression as well. So just, you know, give you a bit of an idea of me as a person and my own experiences, because mental health is, like, as a term, is very broad and it covers so many different forms. I just want to make it clear that this is what has worked in my experience. This is what generally works for me in terms of how I deal with those days, how I deal with those periods. This is very individual. This isn't necessarily going to work for everyone, and I'm not claiming that this is gonna like work magic, but the only reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I'm hoping that it might give you a bit of inspiration even for new methods you can try or new mindsets you can try to implement when you feel like you are struggling mentally. So first up, I need to actively be forgiving and understanding and patient with myself. Anyone that is hard on themselves will understand this one, so this is for you guys. A lot of the time I'm hard on myself about the fact I've even got to that place. You are not a robot, you are human, and this happens. As amazing as you could be at managing your mental health, it happens, and you just have to accept sometimes that it happens and just take each thing as it comes, and now just know how to move forward and deal with it. Just look after yourself in the best way moving forwards. I try to get myself into a mindset where I accept that this day is no longer about what it was going to be about. This day is now about me. It does not matter what I had planned socially, what work I had to get done. None of that now matters, because now I need to look after myself and I have to think about what I need to get myself into a better, stronger place mentally, and just look after myself and honour my needs. It's okay not to be productive 24/7. I'm really atting myself here. Believe I'm not coming to you from my high horse, yeah? I'm coming to you from a, I get it, I'm still working on this. It's okay not to be productive all the time. And if your body is telling you something that you need to look after yourself, you need to pay attention to yourself, when you get those signs, which a difficult day like this is, listen to it. Listen to it and honour it. Whatever it is you feel like you need to do for yourself, prioritise that, because nothing else matters. I know that I need to address my feelings. So a lot of the time we can feel certain emotions, but it requires a lot of energy from within ourselves to actually face them, to acknowledge them, to work through them, and to actually just let yourself sit with them and feel them wholeheartedly. I've noticed what I do. A lot of the time I will know that I feel a certain thing, and I'll know that I need to sit with it and address it, and it needs a bit of attention from me. But it takes so much strength sometimes and so much energy that sometimes I just can't be bothered. Sometimes I literally just, I feel like I just don't have that energy to give, and I kind of sweep it under the rug. And for me, that looks like being quite inactive and, you know, scrolling on social media, just kind of doing mindless tasks. Scrolling on social media, just watching random things, or it could be binge watching TV or anything. It's almost like a distraction. It acts as a form to mask my emotions that I'm feeling. I just want to be distracted from them. I want to be taken away from it. I'm not addressing it and trying to understand why I feel that way or think about how I'm going to work through those feelings. I'm literally not even acknowledging them. I'm just sitting in it, but not in a healthy way, in a way where I'm just hoping that it's going to pass. If you do this, understand that it's completely normal, it's completely natural, and be nice to yourself, because it is very difficult and it can be very challenging and emotionally challenging to actually pluck up that strength to work through whatever it is you're feeling and face it. but it is so important to face it. I've noticed that when I just do the work, when I just pick myself up and force myself to just do the work that I need to and just face it, I end up feeling so much better so much sooner. Mentally, I end up getting out of that darker space faster. Obviously, this is not going to work for everyone, but this is a start. The point is you're beginning to do the work that you need to look after your mind and just give it that help that it needs. For some people, that can look like counselling, therapy and CBT. For some people, that can look like journaling and meditation. For some people, it can look like talking to a friend or a loved one. Regardless, the point is this is facing it. It's not masking it. So whatever that means for you, it's about doing that. Now I'm going to move on to the things that I do when I need to address my feelings, and I have two main things that I do. And I go to each one of them too for different reasons. The first one is journaling. For me, journaling is venting my feelings. It's releasing everything. It's everything that I've built up, everything that I'm feeling. It's putting it all out on paper. And I do this when I feel like I'm gonna burst, when I feel like I've taken on so much mentally, whatever that is and whatever that might look like, when I feel like I've just taken it and it's just building and I feel like I'm about to erupt. When I have that feeling, it's that pressure build up, that's when I journal, because that process of writing down whatever comes to my mind in that moment, honestly, I can't even explain it. It's literally like it takes everything from my brain and it just puts it on the paper and it leaves it on the paper. I close that book and it's no longer in my mind. It's a beautiful technique when you find how to use it to work for you. This is also a space where I reason with myself if I feel like things need to be talked through. A lot of the time I feel like my mind is very loud and there's just a lot happening simultaneously. And when I feel like I need to go into each one of those thoughts and understand them and reason with them and kind of go through the paces, that's when I journal. I write it like as if I'm advising myself, like I'm talking to myself. I will literally say things like, Debbie, come on, you know that da 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 da, like how I would console a friend, how I would talk to a friend if they were having the thoughts and feelings that I was experiencing in that moment. That's how I talk to myself. Also, if you feel like you need to talk to someone and you need to vent and release something, but you don't have a person available or you don't have a person in your life that you feel like you can trust with this, if you want to keep it to yourself but you know that you feel like it needs to be talked about, that is also when journaling can be really, really helpful. I use it for that a lot and I feel like it's really, really helpful for me. Meditation. So, the idea of meditating is very different in a lot of people's minds. I feel like it's got a certain image, it's got a certain stigma around it. It's not literally like sitting there with your hands like this saying Om. It doesn't need to be that, it doesn't have to be that. If you want to understand about my like technique of meditating, then let me know in the comments. I have done a video on it before, but I can do another one, go into a little bit more depth. Let me know in the comments and I will film that for you, because I'm not really going to be going into the way that I meditate in this video. Meditation for me helps me to find peace amongst the chaos that's going on in my mind. It's like it slows everything down for me, it quietens my mind, it puts me in a more controlled state. So whenever I feel like I just need to pause, when you're just like, I just need life to stop, I just need everything to just stop for 2 minutes, just stop, that's when you need to meditate. And that is when it's going to be so, so powerful and so effective. So a lot of the time for me, I will journal when I feel like really, really intense, like there's so much that I feel like needs to be worked through and I need to specifically like point by point talk about things and address things. That's when I journal. When I feel generally like too much is going on and I need to slow down and I just need some perspective, that's when I meditate. So a lot of the time I will journal first to get rid of that initial urgency, that initial panic, and then once I've journaled, when I'm slightly calmer, that's when I'll meditate. Another thing I do when I feel that mentally I need to give myself a little bit of TLC is I listen to a lot of music. I am a very music motivated person. The way that it can affect my mood is crazy. It's crazy. So for me, this is a very, very powerful tool to use. Even if I don't feel like it, sometimes I don't feel like listening to music, but I try to force myself to actually put it on, even if it's in the background. I've noticed that it really just helps to improve my mood and calm me down and take me away from wherever my mind has gravitated towards. I'm not gonna lie, the next one I really don't like doing when I'm in this place, but it is to be physically active. And this can literally look like anything. It can look like going for a walk, it can look like going to the gym, whatever that means to you. It's just about physically moving your body. When I am in that mental turmoil, the last thing I want to do is go outside and go for a walk or go to the gym, because I fall into that place where I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do that. I just want to sit with it, and that's not always the most helpful thing to do. I'm not gonna lie, I really hate when other people tell me to do this. So I really feel hypocritical right now for like indirectly telling you to do this, but it's true and it makes a really big difference, and it can really help you mentally, even as like a maintenance as well as a treatment thing, just to like maintain a healthy state for yourself and how your mind feels. Being active can actually really help. It's true, it really does make a difference. I know this one definitely won't be for everyone, but for me, I like to tell the people that are around me, especially the people that I live with. And I don't necessarily mean going into so much depth and having a full-on like heart-to-heart session with the person. I just mean informing them. So with me, that is my mum. She's the person I have most regular interaction with. I live with her, and I do often tell her, even if I don't want to talk about it, I'll just be like, I don't want to talk about it, but, and then I'll just kind of explain. And the reason why is because the people around you can be a lot more supportive when they understand or have some kind of insight into where you're at. It can also help people be more patient with you as well, which is only going to work in your best interest. It just helps everyone be a little bit more sensitive to what you're going through right now and where you're at, especially if that person expects something from you. If they expect you to show up, or they expect whatever it is, if they understand, then they've just got a little bit more insight into what you're experiencing, so they can be more sensitive and empathetic to that. And I know a lot of the time, being in that place within yourself, you don't want to talk about it, and I completely get that. But if you are blessed with supportive people around you who will respect your boundaries as well, when you say, I don't want to talk about it, or I'm not comfortable, I'm not ready, regardless, if they respect that, then all the more reason to keep them in the know to whatever extent is comfortable for you. So the next thing I do is, I've noticed I make it a point to do my skincare, like my entire skincare routine. And I'm going to tell you why. I think it's because it makes me feel like I'm more in control, and it feels like I have a routine and I'm just in control of myself. Because when I get into these periods, I feel like I have lost all control over myself. And I feel like what I'm battling is controlling me, and that has consumed me. So this simple thing, it's so weird, but this simple thing, it does actually make sense if you like, you know, psychoanalyze it. But the simple act of just doing my full skincare routine as I normally would just makes me feel like I've got myself together, like I'm good, you know? And this is kind of like a placebo effect, but it kind of works. It kind of works, and that can look like something different to each person. So for me, that's the thing that I will always do every morning. After I get out the shower, I will do my skincare routine without fail. And I even do this when I'm like physically unwell as well. When I'm like ill, when I've got a cold or something, I try to force myself to still do that normal part of my routine, because it just makes me feel better about myself and my day and my situation. For some people, that can look like doing your makeup in the morning, or getting dressed, or getting up and going for a shower. Whatever that means to you, think about what your parallel is. Think about it. I also find that I like to spend time alone, not necessarily just only alone all the time, but I know that I need to dedicate a good chunk of my day to sitting by myself. I feel like I need to take time to just sit freely in my presence, just exist within my own presence, because I then feel like I can feel how I want to completely freely without worrying about anyone else. I don't have to worry about seeming okay for the people that I'm around, or being supportive to anyone else, or accommodating anyone else's needs. I can solely think about myself, and I can be 110% selfish. I can just think about what I want, what I need, and just do that. I don't have to act a certain way, I don't have to be a certain way. I can just be however I want to be, and I can just exist. And I feel like that's really needed for me, because I need to, like I said, kind of feel it. I just need to feel it, and I need to allow myself to be in that place instead of trying to mask it. And this is another way to just ensure you're not putting up a mask for the sake of other people. It's like just not feeling like you have to be on. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be on all the time, and taking time for myself allows me to just make sure I'm not on. So the next thing I like to do is listen to high frequency sounds and music on Netflix. Man said Netflix, Spotify. So the one that I often reach for, it's in like my recent, I just opened my Spotify and it's the last thing I was listening to. That says a lot, doesn't it? I will link it in the description, but it's literally, it says it cleanses the aura and the space and removes negative energies. It's a high frequency sound. I feel like it's very calming. So that is actually what I listen to every time that I meditate as well, which is why it's the last thing I listen to, because from a meditation this morning. But I listen to this when I meditate, and also when I feel like I am trying, when I'm actively trying to get myself into a better mindset. That's what I listen to. It just helps to calm me, puts me at ease. I just really respond well to that particular one. There are so many variations. There's so many on Spotify, on YouTube. You can have a little search around and just see what kind of resonates nicely with you. But yeah, that's something I like to do. And even if I'm just doing other stuff, I'll just have it on in the background, and I just feel like it helps to do the background work. It's like it indirectly helps where I'm at. I don't always do this one, but if I feel like I'm up to it, and if I've got that energy, if I can muster up that strength to really want to be proactive with myself, one thing I will do is read supportive and empathetic reads. So books that actually talk about the experience that I'm having in that moment. So there's books that sort of address it and talk you through it, or just offer that understanding. Sometimes just feeling like there is another person or another force or whatever that just understands and is supporting you, even if they're not physically there with you, that can be really, really powerful and really helpful. I find that books that offer that can be a really nice thing, like a comfort thing to just sort of lean on a little bit. You can see another thing that is like the same but different. You can listen to podcasts, you can watch YouTube videos, anything which is kind of discussing maybe what you're experiencing, but putting a positive light on it or a supportive light on it, so that you can feel that. You feel that support, you feel that strength. You're getting that from another source instead of having to just sort of create it within yourself. Another thing I like to do is think about if there is anything in my life at that time which has caused me to lose balance. That's a term I like to use to describe when I get these waves. I refer to it as when I've lost my balance. So for me, I think about what my life currently looks like. I think about what I'm lacking or what I'm doing too much. I look at the levels of everything that's existing in my life, and I think, okay, what am I not doing enough of? Or what am I doing too much of? Just kind of reevaluate where you're at and think, is there something that's within your control which you can now change, which will help you get out of this place or help to prevent this in the future? Sometimes it can tell you something about the energies that you've allowed have access to you. Sometimes it can be your circumstances, your external, something that's going on, maybe people, maybe places, situations you're in, things like that. Your environment can make such a big difference to the place that you're at mentally. So allow yourself to notice these things and think about if there's any changes you need to make. And something similar to that is doing the work to understand what my trigger was. If I feel like there was a particular event that got me to this place, I will look at if there is any personal work I need to do which has been left unaddressed, that maybe I haven't given enough time to. And I'm not claiming that there is always a reason. I'm not saying that whatsoever. If there was a trigger, to understand what that was, why it led to this. Try and use it as something to teach you something about yourself. There can be past trauma that you might have thought you've worked through, but this actually uncovers an aspect that needs your attention and needs a bit more work. It can highlight so many things about yourself, about areas that you can develop further, or just room for growth within yourself. Sometimes it can. I'm not saying that it always does. it doesn't always work like that. It's not always like, oh, this happened and that's why I'm like this. Your mental health doesn't work like that. But sometimes you can trace it back to something, and if you can understand, why did I then fall back into this place because of that thing? It tells you what matters to you, and it also tells you a lot about your past experiences and the way that that's affected you in your present life. And then you can work through any unaddressed trauma that may have happened in your life that maybe you've disregarded, or maybe you thought you had moved past, but maybe this is showing you something. Maybe this is showing you that you haven't. Maybe this is showing you where you need to focus a bit more of your attention, your work. It helps you to move forward in a way where you can reduce the chance of this same trigger putting you back in that same place in the future. When I've done this, it has taught me so much about myself in the past, and it has really directed me in terms of where I want to focus my energy and where I want to focus my growth. It's just a technique which can be really helpful for the future. Alright guys, they are all of the things that I tend to do when I'm going through periods like this. Everyone's circumstances and everyone's experience with their mental health is different. I'm saying all these things and they help, but depending on what it is and why I'm in the circumstance I'm in and why I'm feeling what I'm feeling at that time, some of these things, half of the things, 90% of the things may not work. That's just the way it is. There isn't a simple equation and an answer. But these are the things that I feel help or can help with myself. Keep that in mind when you do watch this video. And I really, really hope that this provided you with some kind of value. I hope something resonated with you. Please remember that my DMs are always open as well. My social media handles, it's literally the same thing, it's just Devon Go Hill, but nonetheless they're going to be linked in the description, so please reach out to me, drop me a message, drop me a comment, subscribe. Oh, you see that transition? That was smooth, isn't it? I lost it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you so much, so much. Sending you love, strength and positivity always. Stay safe, stay smiling, stay positive. I love you guys. I said it again because I really mean it. I love you guys. I will see you next week. Mwah. Bye guys.